Hi there, I'm Brian Waller, President of the Technology Association of Iowa. Now more than ever, Iowa companies are seeing themselves as technology companies. With me today is Jim Sherlock, who is the Director of Information Security and Technology Implementation at Pearson. Jim, what does Pearson do for those people that don't know out there?
Thanks for the intro, Brian. Pearson is a learning company and a global learning company, the world's largest learning company. So we have all kinds of products and services around learning, delivering test content, and specifically within the state of Iowa, our focus in our business is assessments. So we develop and deliver and secure high stakes and low and medium stakes assessments to students from around the United States in both paper and online form.
Well, where technology meets education is never more important today. Can you talk about how Pearson has, and your organization has used this to propel themselves and advance through technology, through the COVID crisis?
Yes, so like every other organization, we've been forced to adapt and adapt quickly and sort of develop some new rules of engagement and working patterns on the fly. With our group specifically in Iowa City here, supporting the large-scale assessment market, we are right in the middle of what should be our Super Bowl season. The month of April and May, we typically see between 1 and 2 million students a day around the country taking their high-stakes tests with us. Some of those tests will determine whether or not they can proceed to the next course or to graduate from a grade onto the next grade. These are very, very high stakes tests, and this is the time that we're supposed to be making our hay. Of course, now all 50 states in the United States have been granted a waiver from the federal government to not be forced to report results this year. So we are looking at what should be our Super Bowl, and we have a lot of opportunity now to sort of redirect our talents and efforts in more positive ways for the education industry.
Great. What positive change or innovation has come out of this moment for you guys?
That's a really, really good question. Especially on the side in the technology implementation side and customer experience side that I manage. Our employees, our engineers, they need to feel like they're making a difference. And without all of the traffic on our platforms and serving the students from around the country, we've been able to take that same skill set, the supporting technology skill set, and offer local school districts within the state of Iowa advanced technical support for some of the challenges that they're facing. So for example, in the Iowa City Community School District, there are a lot of students now and the students within the district that are receiving devices that have not previously had devices, and there's just a lot of technology setup and hurdles in order to kind of get the remote learning thing going. Our group has been able to provide some additional phone support in the evenings in English and Spanish for a lot of the technology challenges that the district is facing to help kind of smooth them into their remote learning. And we're doing similar types of work leveraging some services from Amazon Web Services to stand up virtual call centers essentially overnight to provide support for school districts. So it's given us an opportunity to fill that need, that personal need to make a difference, but also kind of use some of the technical, some of our technical skills that our teams possess in a positive way.
Great. So when we get through this, and we will, what does the future look like at the intersection of education and technology or at Pearson?
So I spend a lot of time thinking about this and reading. I think a lot of people do. We're still in, sort of a honeymoon phase in the remote learning world for most states. I don't know that anybody really had a pandemic plan prepared and ready for how to transition schools. So there's a lot of lessons that are being learned on a daily and weekly basis. I think, especially with this type of event, we should expect to see schools sort of blurring the lines between remote learning at home and in the school. I think there'll be many instances where students or groups of students or schools even will need to put a pause on the brick and mortar learning for a while as we continue to work through the pandemic. So we should expect to see remote learning be much more the norm than it is the exception. And I think from a technology standpoint, that means that we need to have solutions that can continue to bridge and make sure that students that are learning at home feel as though they're part of the regular instruction. Mm-hmm. I think if I put my information security hat on too, in the mad rush to provide assistance to school districts, there have been a lot of ed tech companies that have either had to grow up very quickly or are even growing up in front of our eyes. The challenge I think that the industry is going to see is that these ed tech companies are dealing with highly regulated, sensitive data, and there's a certain amount of maturity that they need to be able to demonstrate and have as an organization to protect that long term. So I think that data privacy and information security with respect to education is going to be even more and more important as we kind of settle down into the couch of remote learning and stare at something that is not just let's get through it, but it's going to be more of a regular thing. Information security and protecting the data is going to be really, really important as we move forward.
Jim Sherlock with Pearson, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for all you're doing for the Iowa community and specifically the Iowa technology community. Have a wonderful day.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brian.